I'm a huge MMA fan from the beginning. Now Jacob's a huge MMA fan.
People are just like really well-rounded now. You can just go in there and be like, you know, I'll be fine with Jiu-Jitsu. There's a lot of like urban legends. He never lost 405 matches. Never lost. He never lost in MMA. He lost his first, I don't know, 8 matches.
Right.
You know, and he became like the greatest Jiu-Jitsu fighter of all times.
Right.
He won pretty much everything there is to win in Jiu-Jitsu.
Right.
But sometimes the transition is hard.
That's what I wanted to talk about.
That's
Raphael
right.
Carneiro,
Right.
he is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guru.
Welcome to Two Taps and Friends. Grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's dive into another episode of Two Taps and Friends.
Welcome back to Two Taps and Friend. I'm your host, Daniel Rosenberg, and today I have a special guest. I have Raphael Carneiro, and I hope I'm saying your name correctly, right?
That's
Raphael
right.
Carneiro.
Right.
He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guru. He is the owner of a few gyms. I'm going to have him introduce himself. Gentle Art Dojo. He coaches my son. He coaches a lot of people. People speak highly of him. My conversations, I loved him, and I wanted to just get him on and pick his brain about jiu-jitsu. But first of all, Raphael, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got to where you are, and how you're living here.
First of all, thank you very much for having me.
Of course, thank you for coming.
I'm Raphael Carneiro.
Right.
I'm the owner of Gentle Art Dojo. I've been in the U.S. for 15 years now. I moved here in 2010. I was born in Brazil. I run 4 schools. I teach in one of them, and I have people that run the other 3 for me.
Right. Where are those? Are they different areas?
2 of them are in Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Yeah,
right.
that's where I moved to first.
Okay.
In 2010, and then I opened my first school. I opened my first school out of desperation because
Well, that's how we all open our first business.
of my daughter.
Okay.
You know, like she was gonna be born, and I was like, okay, so I gotta do something, you know, like more stable. So
Right.
that's why I decided to open the first school.
Right.
And then it was never my plan to get to this point, but one thing led to the other, and next thing I know, here I am.
That's how business is, my friend. I did the same thing. I think, Sylvia, I was working as I wanted to be, I went to law school and I wanted to be a lawyer. I worked for the government just trying cases in the defense world. And then Sylvia was pregnant. And I'm like, I gotta make money. I gotta get serious. I gotta clean it up. Like, and from what I hear, you had a lot of fun in your youth too. Like both of us went around and traveled and did all that stuff. And then you gotta get serious when the kids come, right?
Yeah. So it was like I had a few schools that offered me like to teach there. Right. And I still wanted to travel, wanted to compete, so I didn't want a lot of responsibility. But from when I found out that we were gonna have a child, I was like, you know what? I need to get all of these classes. You know, I need to get as many classes as I can.
Right.
So I called up those people and I was like, hey, I'm down. I'm gonna be teaching for you and this and that. 2-3 days later, after the shock was over,
Right.
I was like, you know what? If I open now, I have 9 months to make it work.
Right.
If it doesn't work, those people are still gonna be there. They're still gonna want me teaching there, you know.
Right.
But if it works, I have my own business. I have my own place. So that's what I did. I just opened it. So I decided to open on a Thursday. On the Friday after, it took me a week to open the school.
Right.
I got everything done, and thank God we're here now.
Right. It's funny when you open a business. I tell people it's
Yeah.
like you kind of just open the door, right? There's no way you could get everything. People that come to me, they want to start a business. I'm like, listen, you're not going to be able to get everything ready perfectly. You need to go, and then as you go along, you're almost like scooping up what you need. Like, oh, I got to get this, I got to do that, I got to buy this, I got to buy that, and next thing you know, you're rolling, and here you are with multiple locations. But let me get to, we're going to talk about jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Tell me first of all how you got into jiu-jitsu before we, where you started to learn jiu-jitsu, and we'll give the background on jiu-jitsu in a little bit.
I think I got into jiu-jitsu just like everybody from my generation got into jiu-jitsu. Mid to late 90s, UFC starts growing.
Right.
A lot of like, it was pretty much like Brazilian guys because it was
The Gracies.
It was a Brazilian. It was Rorion Gracie that started UFC. So he had his brothers fighting, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. This guy wearing a gi, you know, he fights the other guys and he beats them.
Right.
Of course, it was another time. Nobody knew what Jiu-Jitsu was.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I want to try that. And I had some previous experience with martial arts. I tried a little bit of capoeira, which is like
I know capoeira, very cool.
Brazilian.
It's like the dancing fighting. It's a cool fight.
Yeah, but I was very young. I was like 14, 13. And then I tried a little bit of kickboxing as well. And then when I turned 16, I wanted to try jiu-jitsu, you know. And after my first class, I was hooked. I was like, oh, this is it, you know. That's what I want to do. I want to train. Of course, then it was just for fun. I didn't think I was going to make a living out of it, you know. But that's how I started, like UFC.
So you're saying you think jiu-jitsu was about 14, 16 when you started, or like?
I was 16. I started martial arts when I was 14. I started jiu-jitsu when I was 16.
Wow. Yeah. Now, let's take, so the history of jiu-jitsu for people that, I mean, my first experience with jiu-jitsu, and I don't practice jiu-jitsu, and I'm hearing I should, right? And if I'm going to go anywhere, I'm going to you. But I'm not, I see you guys on there. I'm not rushing to get thrown around. But I remember watching UFC like you. We're probably around the same age. UFC 1. We used to have to watch it. We used to have to get the box to watch it because it was like bad. UFC, that wasn't even UFC. It was UFC. Ultimate Fighting Championship it was called, remember? Yeah. But remember, they had no rounds. They had no weight classes, no rules, and they would have, people fought back to back in the same night. Remember, it was like a tournament, right? And then all of a sudden, this guy comes out. He's like, looks like an everyday guy, small guy, surrounded with his brothers. They came out, looked like Wu-Tang Clan. Remember, they had the gis, Royce Gracie. And that was when I first learned about Portuguese and R and H. I couldn't figure out, it said Royce Gracie, right? But they don't pronounce the R. And I was just fascinated by this guy, and it's going to stem into it.
We had to go to Blockbuster to rent the the DVD to watch at home and everything.
Right, but nobody knew, and this guy would go against these guys that are double his size, triple his size, and I remember I would say after like watching him after one or two things, I'm like, listen, this guy's going to win the whole thing, and they're like, we don't even know what he does. Like, we just know, I'm like, he gets a hold of any part of this, any limb, and you're on the ground. Once he gets you on the ground, it's over. That's what we used to say.
Yeah.
And it's just the most fascinating thing, and it's just exploded. You know what I mean? And so that was my experience with jiu-jitsu, and I never... Tell me a little bit about the history of jiu-jitsu that people, you know, I think people now, it's become a name. It's kind of a household name.
Yeah.
Tell me the history, where it comes from. How does it start? Who starts it?
So I'm not
expert.
I'm not an expert. Okay, so I lived jiu-jitsu for 26 years now, since '99.
Right.
Okay. From everything I heard, from everything I gathered. Okay. What I believe, there's a couple of different like ideas. You know, some people are true believers of the whole like. Oh, the Gracies, they remade the jiu-jitsu. They like, jiu-jitsu is what it is today because of them and everything.
Right.
And there's another line of thinking that jiu-jitsu is just judo that people kept fighting on the ground. Okay.
Wow.
So the idea, so jiu-jitsu and judo, they start the same. Okay. You both start standing.
Right.
Okay. In judo, if you fall, if I take you down and you land flat on the floor, the fight is over. It's a nippon, right? In jiu-jitsu, the fight just keeps going. Okay.
Just begun, really.
So, yeah, it's just begun. Really.
Right.
Yeah. So it's and back in the day, I think the '60s. Okay. They were it was supposed to be just one thing, you know, but the Gracies, they wanted to keep calling it jiu-jitsu, and they wanted to have a hold on that side of jiu-jitsu, you know, like the ground stuff and everything. And the Judo Federation was like, no. Everything is going to be one thing. It's going to be judo, you know, and we're only going to have one thing. So that's when they decided, okay, so we don't want to be a part of this, you know, we're going to do our own thing. So that's gonna be like called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But it's mainly Judo. Like a lot of the stuff we do, they do in Judo as well. We just keep fighting on the ground.
But the ground locks and the submissions, they do that in Judo? Because I thought
They
Judo
do it
was
in-
mostly throws, and I'm not
No,
versed.
they do it
this.
in. They do it in. You have a very limited amount of time to keep fighting.
Got it.
In Judo, okay. So say I try to take you down, it didn't work. We fell a little sideways. We kept fighting on the floor, like I'm trying to get around your legs. If I get to a pin position, like if I can hold you down, the fights keep going. And then if I hold you for 20 seconds, the fight is over as
Okay.
well. Okay, so you can do pretty much everything that you do in Jiu-Jitsu, you can do in Judo to finish the fight. You can arm lock, you can choke, okay? Judo is a little cleaner. You can't really choke over the face.
Right.
Jiu-Jitsu, from the eyebrows down, everything is neck,
Right.
okay? So you can, whatever it takes to like
So,
submit somebody.
so Judo, there's submissions, or is it just
Yeah.
hold them for 20 seconds?
No,
Okay.
you can do if you hold them for 20 seconds, the fight is over.
That's over,
But
right?
you can like
You can still
switch,
tap
like,
out.
You can still tap out, like you can still do like an arm lock, or you can still do a choke. Okay, so it's very similar. It's very similar to.
But do you think the Gracies, would you credit the Gracies for just progressing the on-the-ground game? Is there locks that they've come up with or techniques that they come up with that Judo wasn't using in the past? It's progressed, the
There's some,
progression?
like there's foot locks. I don't think they do foot locks in Judo.
Right.
There's foot locks. There's knee bars. That side of Jiu-Jitsu. Jiu-Jitsu people tend to have a guard, like when you have your back on the floor.
Right.
A lot more developed than Judo people. But that comes from like, we spend a lot of time on the ground.
right.
In Judo, 10 seconds, nothing's happening. Referee's like, man, stand up again. You know, Judo is really hard on the body. It's really
Right.
hard on the body.
Well, because of the impact so much of the throws?
Because it's just like falling over and over and
Yeah,
over and over again.
Yeah. So you,
It's if we keep going like this, then it becomes a whole different conversation, because like you don't see Judo academies around. Like
Right.
if you walk around and like you can see like Jiu-Jitsu schools popping up everywhere.
Right.
You don't see Judo schools popping up everywhere, because once you get to a certain age, you just pretty much can't do it anymore. Like
the body
on
can't
a-
take that abuse.
Yeah, on
Right.
a competition level, you know, like
Right.
because it's an Olympic sport. When you get to like 18, 19, either you're going to the Olympics or you're not. Okay.
Right.
Jiu-Jitsu, we have worlds, we have Europeans, we have Pan Ams, we have a lot of other tournaments that you can kind of make a living
Right.
off of, you know.
Right.
So some people, they start training Jiu-Jitsu when they're 20 and they have a very successful career. They can still be like world champions and everything. In Judo, if you don't start at a very young age, man, by the time you're 18, 19,
It's more
you're
like
done.
the Olympians. That's why they
Yeah.
have to start and commit to that
Yeah.
completely, and it doesn't really last on the body. So, so the jujitsu, that's what's always been intriguing to me, and I think what makes it successful.
And I thought I silenced it.
It's
I'm
okay,
sorry.
believe me, mine goes off the whole time, Rafa, don't worry about it. But I find that like it's all ages, all sizes, all. It's just it's fascinating and it's intriguing that anybody can really get into it, and that's what it'll stem me to like.
Yeah.
The idea and benefit of jiu-jitsu what is your idea of like the benefits of jiu-jitsu to somebody? So if you're explaining this, you're saying this to say you meet somebody and they say, what's jiu-jitsu a good thing? Should I train it? What would you say to the viewers and listeners that, would be a beneficial thing about jiu-jitsu?
I think the biggest benefit of jiu-jitsu is the problem solving.
Right.
In life, everything is problem solving, right?
Sure.
So whatever you decide to do in life, you're gonna go through challenges, and you gotta figure out how to get stuff done. That's what happens on the mat. Like you're in a bad position, you need to figure out. I think it gives you patience. It gives you like. It keeps you calm under pressure. You learn to be calm under pressure.
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing jiu-jitsu can teach you.
Well, sure. I mean, even when I come in and watch you guys roll, or Jacob, my son's training with you now, and like seeing them roll, like, it's like literally heightened adrenaline. And in most situations like that in everyday life, people freeze. People don't know what to do. People are completely panicking, you know. And if anybody's been in a position where they're held down against their will or anything like that, I see that as a huge benefit of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. With the kids, the
Right.
discipline side, that's not just jiu-jitsu. I think martial arts
Martial
in
arts,
general.
right.
Get used to somebody telling you what to do, you know, like respecting somebody. You know, how you say here,
Hierarchy.
hierarchy.
Right,
Yes,
right.
exactly. Hierarchy, you know, like I think this is we're lacking that nowadays a little bit, you
Right.
know. And I feel like martial arts can help a lot with that.
Sure, and confidence, you know, and confidence. It seems like the people that train jujitsu that I've noticed seem to be calmer and a little bit more confident and not
Yeah, I
not
think-
looking for fights.
Yeah, uncoachable kids, they become unemployable adults.
Oh, I agree.
You know, like if you can like if you can't be coached while you're a kid, if you don't learn to deal with like adversity when you're a kid, you're gonna have a really hard time learning dealing with adversity when you're an adult.
Right, and so you think for jujitsu, anybody off the street can come in and train, or is it certain things you think
Anybody.
like you have to be athletic, you have to be strong?
It's a misconception.
That's
People
what I
are
want to
like,
talk about.
people are like, oh man, give me a couple of months, I'm getting in shape, and then I'm gonna come train with you.
Right.
No, it's the other way around. Like, come train with me so you can get in shape.
True.
You know,
Right.
because especially if you've never trained before, you think it's gonna help you somehow, but it's like it's a completely different cardio. It's a completely different like type of workout. So you get like somebody that, like, man, he CrossFits his whole life, and then he comes and trains jiu-jitsu. 2-3 minutes in, he's gassed. Of course, he's gonna do better than somebody coming off a couch.
Sure.
You know, but the best thing for your jiu-jitsu is to train jiu-jitsu. Same way, if you want to run, the best thing for you to do it's
Right.
you
It's
know,
different. It's a very
run.
unique conditioning.
Yeah, but it's for everybody. Jiu-jitsu is for everybody. Jiu-jitsu is for everybody, but not everybody's for jiu-jitsu.
Got it.
Okay.
Flush that out a little bit more for us.
Man, I have students that are 60, 55, you know. I've had students 65, 68 years old that come in, train. It's not just like the workout. It's coming in, it's having a good time, it's having somebody. Sometimes people just want somebody to talk to.
Right,
You know?
camaraderie.
Like the community, the camaraderie. But it's a hard sport, like on the body a little bit. It's getting better lately because we have beginners class. We're separating more the groups. You know, jiu-jitsu in the 90s and 2000s, we had this mentality like the survival of the fittest kind of thing.
Right.
You know, so a lot of people quit. We lost a lot of people that could have done really good in jiu-jitsu because we didn't really know what we were doing.
Right,
You
right.
know. And after he moved to the U.S., like so in 2006, I think, we had our last Worlds in Brazil, like the biggest tournament in the world. We had our last Worlds in Brazil. 2007, Worlds moved to California, and it's been in California ever since. That's when the boom started. That's when people started making a living off jiu-jitsu, because when people got here, they were like, they started looking at like karate schools, kickboxing schools, and they saw they were structured, and they were like, how can we make our
Jiu-jitsu
art
structured.
better? How can we make our art for everybody? You
Right,
know?
right.
Not the whole like tough guy mentality. Like,
Right, like
we gotta be able to help like the guy that
Beginners.
just wants to come in and have a good time. Women that want to learn how to defend themselves,
Right.
You know, but they have to be in an environment where they feel welcome. You know,
Sure.
if you get to a place where there's a group of guys trying to kill each other, that's not a very
Right.
welcoming place. So the idea was to when I speak about my school, and like I think most of the places nowadays is to try to have an environment where you can bring, like when you come watch Jake,
Right.
That's the environment I want. Like
Right.
you feel comfortable going there and watching him. Like,
Right.
you know, there's not gonna be people swearing. There's not gonna be, you know,
Right.
people trying to hurt your kid.
Right, right.
You know, it's gonna like we're gonna train hard, but it's a
Controlled environment, right.
You know, and people are having fun. People are laughing. You know, so I think that's what's helping Jiu-Jitsu grow. You know, this new mentality. How can we be more welcoming for everybody?
Right, and it leads to the question about, you know, people have fears about it being dangerous, or, you know, even me, like, Jacob is a high caliber athlete. He's going to play Division I lacrosse. Like so he's telling me he's doing jiu-jitsu, and I'm a fan, right? But I don't know. I'm like, listen, you can't get hurt. Do me a favor. You got to play. You have a school that's invested all this money in you. And then he came back the first day, and this kid's conditioned, and I'd never seen him this tired. He was just like, he came back fully drunk. Like, you get that kind of a workout in jiu-jitsu? You started laughing at me. But, like, you know, people are concerned about the injuries, and I think you addressed a lot of it there, seeing that you keep people. What kind of ground rules do you have in a class? Like, what do you like teach these guys, especially beginners? Because beginners sometimes make the biggest mistakes.
Again,
And,
you need to find a good place. Like, make sure you have a reference, you know, with the coach and everything else. Because, again, I can only speak for myself. Jake is a good example. I go the extra mile. I am extra careful exactly because of that. You know, like, I know he has a scholarship. I know he has a lot on the line. So he can just come in and be training like crazy and get hurt, and then he's out, you know. Of course, injuries, they can always happen.
Sure, that's just the nature of sports.
Yeah, you could be running, you could be jogging, and then, you know, you
I almost broke my toe on the coffee table the other day.
Exactly.
Don't even
so,
ask.
You know, so it's like, of course, it can happen because you know, it's a sport.
Sure.
It's a contact sport.
Sure.
You know, but I think you have to be very careful with like with every student. You have to be mindful of the individual. Like Jake, he's a wrestler. I'm sorry, he's a lacrosse player, and he has a scholarship. I have another student that he works with his hands. He's a masseuse, so he can't get hurt, you know.
Right.
So you have to be careful with his hands. It goes from person to person. Like you have to know, you have to create an environment where people don't want to try to hurt each other. You know, have them in mind. Like always make it very clear. Say you have an arm lock and the arm is stretched, okay? Sometimes the guy doesn't want to tap. Why doesn't he want to tap? Maybe he's having a bad day, so what are you going to do? You're going to break his arm. If you break his arm, tomorrow he's not training. So you got to know when to let go. You know, the ego, it goes both ways. Like the ego is bad for the guy that doesn't want to tap, but the ego is also bad for the guy that like, oh, if you don't tap, I'm not going to let go.
Right.
You know?
Right.
You gotta work together, you know?
I mean, I think that's important. I think that one of my favorite things that I hear when Jacob comes home, you know, because I know some of the locks in jiu-jitsu, not from experience, just from watching it, right? And he tells me you guys don't do knee locks, you don't let them do like any kind, unless you're a certain level, right? If you're a certain level, you've learned through the discipline, you went through the practice, I assume. If you speak.
So Jake and Will, they're a little bit different because first they were very athletic, and second because they trained a little bit with Renan. Before they started taking my classes. Okay? So I let them do a little bit more than I let the other people that just started do. Okay? But I have a rule. People cannot do like full rounds, like contact rounds, until they have 60 classes. You know, so you gotta go through 60 classes before you can go through the rounds. Because of stuff like this, sometimes you just don't know what's happening. You know? Like, so there's an arm lock, you think you can get out, you know, or you're in a choke, you think you can hold, and then you fall asleep. You know, so at my school we have this rule, like up to 60 classes, you're not gonna be allowed to do full rounds. I tell the white belts to avoid locks, knee bars. Of course, if he's going with me, then have at it, you
Sure,
know.
sure.
I might even do it because I know I'm not going to hurt
Because you
him.
know you're not going to hurt him, right?
But like between themselves, I asked him not to.
Right. I mean, that's good. And as far as like, let's talk about the women in jiu-jitsu, because a lot of people, I hear people saying, you know, I'd like for my, you know, my daughter or my wife to train in jiu-jitsu, because I remember like, and I'm sure weight classes have, it affects, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's heavier
Yeah,
than you're not.
sure.
But, you know, I watched Hoist Gracie just run through but look, his
Yeah.
technique was probably super sound and he's a high level.
Yeah.
But with women, is it something where if they train that, do you think that they could hold themselves up if a guy's trying to pin them down or anything like that? Talk
Yeah.
about it a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
what would you
So
say to women
before,
listening?
Before we get into the women, like
Sure.
we need to understand. So the whole let's go back to Royce Gracie.
Sure.
Okay. So back then you had Royce Gracie, who knew Jiu-Jitsu, he had a very good skill at Jiu-Jitsu.
Sure.
And he was fighting people that had no idea.
No idea what they were doing, right?
Okay, so you have a small guy fighting a big guy that doesn't know Jiu-Jitsu.
Right.
Okay, so nowadays in the UFC, that wouldn't fly anymore because the big guy knows Jiu-Jitsu and the small guy knows Jiu-Jitsu. Okay,
So the weight would matter.
the
right?
weight would matter.
Right, right.
Okay, now when you get a small guy that knows Jiu-Jitsu and you put him against a bigger guy that doesn't know Jiu-Jitsu, that's when Jiu-Jitsu works.
Right.
You know, so the idea is like not what happens at the gym. Oh, I'm at the gym, I'm training at my school, and I see that the bigger guy, he always gets an advantage. You're talking about two guys that know Jiu-Jitsu.
Right.
Okay? Now, when you translate it to the outside, we're talking a little guy that has to defend himself against somebody that doesn't know Jiu-Jitsu.
Right.
You know? So he's going to have a leg up. Same thing applies to women.
Sure.
We're assuming that the assailant or somebody,
Right.
you know, trying to do harm, we're assuming he doesn't know Jiu-Jitsu.
Right.
Okay? So they should be able to handle this themselves, you know, at least enough to get out or to run. The option number one is always run. Okay.
Right, right.
If you can. If
Get
you
out of the
cannot,
situation,
you
right.
gotta be able to stay and fight. Sometimes you just have to be able to stay.
Right. Or if you're stuck, you know,
You know?
simple
Exactly.
as that. Right. Right.
You know, you need to know what to do when you're stuck. That's where Jiu-Jitsu comes in.
Right.
You know.
Let's talk about running a gym and running a business, because I always tell my wife is a brilliant artist. I don't know if you've seen her work. She's unbelievable. Like the best artist I've ever seen, and I've seen artists. And she does cake art now.
Okay.
And she can, I'll send you her site. You check out her stuff. And she can make a cake of you look just like you, right? So, and it's, you know, she always like, should I open a bakery? She always used to say, I'm like, yeah, you could be a great artist, but opening a bakery is a different game, right? It's the business of it, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
I know that you're a champion, high level. I don't know what degree black belt you're. Third degree? What are you?
Fourth.
Fourth
Fourth
degree,
degree,
excuse me,
yeah.
which is insane for the viewers. If anybody knows, that's insane. But talk to me about running the business. What are the challenges you found? What's the toughest thing you find now? And you know, talk to me a little bit about that, because people are interested.
It's man, I really like the challenge of like opening the new school, you know, like starting something from scratch. You know, like you start from scratch, you don't really know what's going to happen. It's a little stressful,
Right.
you know, but then you see you growing, like you get a couple of people in. The next thing you know, you have 10, 20, 50, 100 students, like people that actually believe in your work.
Right.
And then the next thing I know, I am changing these lives here, okay, the students,
Right.
but I'm changing someone else's life, like the coach, like Paulo, the guy that is here covering for me while I was on vacation, you know.
Right.
He actually coaches at my school in Massachusetts. I moved him up here.
And the pew pew, they call it pew pew.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard legendary stories about pew pew already from Jacob and Will.
Pew Pew is Tweety, the bird.
Oh yeah,
that's what it is.
That's what the nickname is,
Tweety.
pew pew.
So so Pew now gets to move here. I got him a visa, you know, like
awesome.
a work visa.
That's
so he
awesome.
gets to change his life.
Right.
So I opened the Hallandale School. The school is working now. So I moved Paulo here and I'm sorry, João here and his wife. I got them a work visa, so now that changed their lives as well, you know? So it's not just the jiu-jitsu, it's like the other people that I get to help.
Right, right.
But it's hard to find good people. I think the biggest
That's
challenge,
any business, my friend.
I think the biggest challenge for the business is trying to find good people to work for you.
Right.
The other thing is sometimes people think it's a blessing, like, oh, you get to work with jiu-jitsu. You love jiu-jitsu, you get to work with jiu-jitsu. It's not exactly like that. Sometimes it gets like a little, man, I love jiu-jitsu so much. And some people just take it for granted.
Right.
And it can get like a little upsetting as well. So, but overall, it's really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's like in anything, when you work, and so there's that fear that when you work and you eat and breathe and live something, that you could burn out on it, right? But I don't.
But I don't really know how, like, of course, I could do other stuff if I had to, you know. But I had a therapist say to me, "Hey, listen, you need a hobby."
That's so funny you say that. That's why we're here, me and you. I'll tell you that story.
You need a hobby. And I'm like, man, I already have a hobby.
Right.
You know, when I'm tired of jiu-jitsu with the gi, I do no gi.
Right.
Yeah, that's my hobby.
Right.
You know, I don't really want to do anything else. Like, and everything else, it always goes back to jiu-jitsu. Like, I tried snowboarding a couple of times, but then I'm like, man, what if I fall on my shoulder? I can train jiu-jitsu.
Right.
You know? I tried like skateboarding, man, what if I fall? I can train jiu-jitsu. So, and it's not like, I don't fight, like, I don't make a living of fighting anymore. So it's not really like, before it was like, Jake, like, oh, I cannot afford to get hurt.
Right.
Nowadays, I could afford to get hurt. I just don't want to. I really like training jiu-jitsu, you know?
Well, that's a good indicator right there. If that's what your mentality is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny you say the hobby thing. Like, that's why we're here in this podcast. I'm a litigator for a long time. I have a firm, successful, a lot of people. And my therapist asked me the same thing. She goes, well, what are you doing for like a hobby? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm a lawyer. I earn money. She's like, it's not a hobby. So she's like, what do you like to do? I'm like, I like to sit and talk to interesting people and laugh, and this is why we're here, you know. And I think it's if you get that feeling, then you're doing great, you know, because then everything, the success will come like anything else, right? If you're happy or you're doing well, success is very closely behind it, you know.
Yeah, during the pandemic.
That must have been difficult for you.
So we were I was in Massachusetts.
Oh God, and they were strict.
Yeah.
Right, right.
It was way worse than here.
Sure.
You know, so we had to shut down, and then we were closed for 3 months. We reopened, and then it was just from what I heard from other school owners, it was just like here in the beginning. So we closed for 3 months, and then we all reopened. But here, they just stayed open. Up there,
Florida was hilarious.
Man, up there, we had to close again in September, I think, and then for a couple of weeks, and then end of the year, we closed again for another 3 weeks.
I remember.
So it was like back and forth, and I almost closed. I was like, man, I'm gonna close, and then I'm gonna do something else. Maybe work in my dad's business, my mom's business, you know, something like this. But I just couldn't.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good.
After I reopened, I just couldn't.
Well, let's transition to something like MMA now, because I'm sure you're an MMA fan. I'm a huge MMA fan from the beginning. Now Jacob's a huge MMA fan. You talked about gi, no gi. First of all, let's go there for a minute, right?
Okay.
Let's talk about Hone Gracie. Who was the one that the youngest? Is he? I don't know. Caesar's son, maybe. Who's the one that was? He'd just been fighting, didn't have any success. He kept losing.
Kron
Gracie. Yeah, let's talk about Kron Gracie. Hickson's son, right?
Yeah.
So, what do you think the challenge is? What do you think's going on with him? What was his issue there? Because he did not. I mean, I heard he's an amazing jiu-jitsu practitioner. I heard he's like, what level is he?
Yes, man. He's it's not just like man. He won pretty much everything there is to win in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
But sometimes the transition is hard.
That's what I wanted to talk about.
Sometimes the transition is hard. I feel like Kron has to go through the extra pressure of being the son of
He's a Gracie.
not just any Gracie.
Hickson Gracie.
Hickson is like, there's a lot of like urban legends. He never lost 405
I heard.
matches, never lost. He never lost in MMA. So it's a big
burden.
shoes to fill. Yeah, some very big shoes to fill. The other thing is like his dad, his uncle, they had big success in MMA when nobody knew what Jiu-Jitsu was.
Right.
Now you have wrestlers training Jiu-Jitsu. You have
I think everybody
people are
trains
just
it.
people are just like really well rounded now. You can just go in there and be like, I'll be fine with Jiu-Jitsu. And his last fight, he pulled guard
I saw that.
on the guy.
Right.
Yeah. It's just not gonna work anymore. It's just not like I was like, only if you are this guy or that guy, but no, it's not gonna work for anybody.
Right.
Like you take like the people that had like
Good success in it.
good success.
Henzo and
Modern MMA.
right.
Demian Maia,
Amy and Maya.
I think is the best jiu-jitsu that the UFC has ever seen.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Demian Maia,
Say.
he had to learn how to stand up. Okay. Charles, Bronx.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
man,
Bronx.
he's amazing.
His striking's great now.
His striking is great.
Great.
now,
He's my most fun to watch.
Yeah.
You ask me, I love him.
Great jiu-jitsu, but
Right.
he has really good striking as well.
Right.
You can't just like,
You almost don't get to see his jiu-jitsu a lot.
oh, I'm a
in
jiu-jitsu
MMA.
fighter.
Right.
I'm just gonna go in there and do jiu-jitsu. It's not gonna work anymore.
Right.
So you need to be well-rounded.
They're just so well
Nowadays.
rounded. It's
Yes.
incredible, these fighters. I was just going to say, I was going to ask you to name some of your favorite
Yeah.
guys that you're watching
Yeah,
that
yeah.
come from a jiu-jitsu
No, I think-
background.
Yeah. So we just had the GOAT of Jiu-Jitsu. Okay, the guy that he won 13 world championships. Marcus Buchecha.
Okay.
He just had his first fight in the UFC. He fought UFC Abu Dhabi a week ago.
I didn't even know this. Who is it?
And he lost. He lost decision.
What's his name? I'm writing
Marcus
this down.
Marcus Almeida. They call him
Almeida.
Buchecha.
Okay.
Cheeks. Yeah.
Almeida. I think I
Marcus
watched-
Almeida.
Henan told me about it.
Yeah, and but he's a guy that he's used to this grind. In the beginning of his jiu-jitsu career is like that as well. I've heard him on a podcast saying like he lost his first 8 matches.
Right.
And he became like the greatest jiu-jitsu fighter of all times.
Right.
So I'm sure this is just a hiccup.
Right.
But it only goes to show that man, once you transition, it's really hard. It's actually funny. The guy he lost to posted a picture at his seminar wearing a blue belt. So this guy was at a Buchecha seminar, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago, wearing a blue belt, learning from him.
Wow.
And then he fought him, and then beat him in MMA.
Right.
In Jiu-Jitsu, he wouldn't even he wouldn't last 2 minutes.
Right.
But it's a whole different ballgame,
Right,
So it's
right.
hard. It takes a lot of resilience. Another one of the Jiu-Jitsu greats, Rodolfo Vieira.
Right.
He does pretty good in the UFC, but always when he's getting up there, he gets
Stumbles.
He stumbles, and but man, his jiu-jitsu is amazing.
Right.
So it's not, you need that extra, you need that stand up, you need that transition. On the other hand, if you look at Charles' jiu-jitsu curriculum, there's nothing there. He didn't win anything in jiu-jitsu,
Really?
but he was able to translate his jiu-jitsu really well to the MMA.
Right. And what degree is he? He's like a high degree.
Oh, he's a black belt. He's been a black belt for a long time as well.
Right.
He migrated to MMA very early as well, though.
Right. He's been around for a long, long time.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you almost
He
never.
was very young. Charles, it's funny. He, when he started fighting, he was fighting at, I think he was fighting at 66 kilos, which is probably 135.
135,
I
right.
think 135, maybe
Yeah.
145. He would weigh in with stuff in his pockets to make sure he made
decent weight.
he was decent weight,
Right,
He wasn't
right.
man, look at this guy. He's 62 kilos and he's got to fight me. Maybe it was at 70, I don't know. But
Right,
he
right.
was he had to fight he had to weigh in close in and everything,
Right.
just to make a good weight,
Right. I mean, we used to see a lot of his jiu-jitsu in the beginning.
Yeah.
We got to see a lot of it, but now you don't even.
Yeah.
Nobody goes to the ground with him first of all.
Yeah.
Nobody even wants to go to the ground with him, but that's a benefit. He gets knocked down. He just sits there and waits for you to come down, and nobody comes to the ground with him. But do you see any up-and-comers in jiu-jitsu that you think are going to make splashes in MMA, like Dubronx? People should look out for, you know?
Man, that they're leaving jiu-jitsu to go to MMA.
It's tough.
It's tough. I can't really think of anybody right now.
Well, let me say this. Who's your favorite fighter?
I don't even know if you have any grapplers in jiu-jitsu right now. Right now, Merab.
Merab, right?
Merab.
That guy, man.
Merab is an animal.
What an animal.
I love him. I love him. I love the energy.
The conditioning, I've never seen anything like that. Could you imagine if, you've been in these fights, but
Non-stop,
dealing with a guy that just doesn't even breathe hard?
Do you follow him on
He's
Instagram?
hilarious.
He's such a funny guy.
He's
always like,
hilarious.
man, jumping off a cliff or
he's a lunatic.
petting a lion. He's insane. He's insane.
He's a lot
He's
of
very good. The other thing is, I think we're very close to seeing our first triple champion. Either Alex Pereira or Ilya.
Ilya's tough.
Yeah.
He's tough. That guy.
I think Ilya is closer.
But you think he can fight up a weight class? What's the weight class above? What is he fight? He just fought lightweight. He's gonna be welterweight.
Yeah. Jake and Islam are fighting, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think he can be. He could beat them as well.
Right. That'd be interesting. And Pereira, that guy's just a freak.
Yeah, but heavyweight.
How is his
there's
jiu-jitsu?
always
I've
that,
never seen his jiu-jitsu. Nobody gets
He
past
gets
the striking.
by. Yeah.
Oh, he
I
gets
think-
by.
But I think he gets by. Yeah.
I mean, that guy.
I think he gets by. Yeah. You gotta get by. You gotta.
In
be able
mixed
to handle
martial arts,
yourself.
you got to be able to stand up and do something. I think that's what Kron's biggest problem was. I never saw his striking, but he didn't even look like he was trying to strike. I saw him pull guard in the middle of the ring. I'm like, what are you doing?
But the problem is like there's a fine line. You need. So Rodolfo and even Demian Maia had that problem as well.
Sure.
Like for a while, he was like, oh, I gotta prove my striking, you know. So he worked on his striking and he wanted to strike in the UFC.
Right.
Man, it's hard, like because you're fighting somebody that striked his whole life.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And then he realized what I think it's like the perfect mix. Like, man, you got to be able to strike enough to get it to the ground, you know?
Right.
Hey, listen, if I have to strike for a round, no problem, you know?
Right.
But eventually, I need to take this fight to the ground because that's my specialty,
Right.
you know?
That's how you see guys like Islam, right? That they're sort
Oh,
of just
yeah.
wrestling.
Yeah.
But then he's just developed his striking. But the first chance he gets, he goes back to what he needs, right? He doesn't forget what he's doing and stay on the ground, you know. But listen, this has been fun. After having a conversation, we're at the end of the time right now, man. I had a blast. I knew that I would have a blast bringing you on and asking you and getting to know you more. And I'd love to bring you on. Actually, what I was thinking is maybe we could bring you on. You could do some post-MMA or after MMA analysis sometimes on some of these podcasts, because I think it'd be a lot of fun, especially getting it through somebody with your accolades and your eyes.
That would be really cool, actually.
Yeah, man. But listen, thank you for coming off. Thank you for taking care of my son first and foremost too. And
No problem.
we trust you with him, and you know, after I get to know you more, I trust you even more with him. And thank you, my brother, and thank you for coming on. All right.
Thank you for having me. And
Just give a plug to
now
please give a
it's
plug
your,
to the gym real quick.
Now it's your turn to come to my place.
Oh, I will. I'm going to. I'm going to. But you tell the people about the gym. Tell the people where to find your website. Any of that stuff. If you could.
So Gentle Art Dojo. We're located in. We have 2 locations in Florida, Hallandale and Davie. So if you guys go to @GAD Davie or @GAD Hallandale, you'll find us on Instagram.
Perfect.
Okay.
And I'm going to tag him. Guys, we're going to have him down at the bottom. He'll be at the link at the bottom. We'll tag him on all of our shorts. Rafa, thank you so much for coming. I wish you well, and I'll be seeing you in the gym. Take it easy on me when I come in there, please, you know.
Sounds good. We'll take good care
All
of
right,
you.
my brother. And to all my viewers and listeners, thank you for listening to Two Taps and Friends. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Like I always say, when you like and subscribe to the channel, you give more juice to the channel. It helps everybody out. You can find us everywhere on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on YouTube, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio. I can't keep naming it. My marketing team's amazing. We're everywhere. We also have a link at the bottom if you want to buy some swag. We have sweatshirts, bumper stickers. We have all kinds of fun stuff. Thank you, guys. Love you all. We'll see you soon. Cut. We're good. We're off.